What was the
Hello, everyone, and a good evening to one and all. Respected Principal Ma'am, the speaker of today's Architect Dipti Tangvi, conveners, and all the participants. Myself, Architect Sneha Bodhankar, Faculty of SMMCA and coordinator of this webinar, on behalf of Women's Education Society, Srimati Manorama Bai Mundle College of Architecture, Nagpur, welcomes you all for the webinar on Stapatya Shrunkla, a conversation. I derive immense pleasure to announce that this is the very first webinar under Alumni Association and in collaboration with COA, that is Consortium of Women Architects, which is working towards women empowerment. Alumni Association not only intends to connect the alumni with each other but also helps in connecting the students with alumni and boost aspirations of all students. The pandemic situation of COVID-19 gave us an opportunity to interact and explore with one another through virtual medium, thus helping us to be updated with every knowledge base. Today, we are having the privilege of hosting the webinar in which we will invite our college alumni batch 2002 architect Dipti Tangri from Mumbai for sharing her experience as a woman architect and challenges in profession. To begin with, I request now our respected principal ma'am, Dr. Ujjwala Chakradev, to share her experience and some encouraging words for helping us to host more such events in the future.
Thank you, Sneha. Uh, it's what to say. It's a wonderful experience being with my students and seeing them grow so much and doing so many nice things in the field of or in the profession. All of you are doing so well. And you are the more important is that all of you have been associated, continuously associated with the college. That's a pleasure. That's a wonderful thing to happen. And Dipti, we are so proud of you when we keep on hearing good things about you, and even about the recent award that you have won just now at national level. That's something which, even when I'm talking to you about these things, there are goosebumps. Like, it's something very, very precious for us, precious, more precious than any award that a teacher can get, to see our students grow much beyond what we had expected. And second important thing is that we need to be connected, and that you are. We want you to share your victories, your awards, your learnings, the things you do. Even they might be small, but in your case, they are not really small either. They are wonderfully, and you are doing wonderful job here. And this opportunity of inviting you to the college, had it been a physical thing, probably you would have been busy in something else. But I'm sure you still keep coming to the college. You have been here recently. I remember we had met and we had talked together. But this is an opportunity where, in spite of your busy schedule, you can definitely carve out an hour and be with us at any point of time, and then we can share ideas. All our students would be joining today, and those students will be very happy to hear from you and hear your success story, how you have reached that level. And even they probably would be more happy to listen from you. How did you do it? How were you performing when you were here with us? And what were those small moments of pleasure, sharing, happiness, working, sessional? engineers and things like that. Probably all those things together forms a personality, and that's what you are. We are very happy and very proud of you. And I once again welcome you on not on behalf of the Alumni Association. Of course, they will be doing all that formality, but on behalf of SMMCA, from their side, everybody. And well, once again, welcome. And I will be eager to listen to what you have been saying.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ujjwala ma'am, for this wonderful words. Now, I request our convener, Architect Ketki Tirke, to introduce our today's speaker, Architect Dipti Tangri.
A very good afternoon to all of you, respected Chakradev ma'am, Architect Anuradha Tikkas ma'am, my co-teachers. And to introduce her, she completed her architecture from SMMCA in Nagpur in 2002. While in college, she honed her architectural skills as an intern at JSM Fountainhead, Bangalore. The office to which she gives credit for shaping her career to become a responsible architect. After her BArch, she joined the most sought-after office of Architect Virendra Khare and Associates. She got her breakthrough in architecture when she designed tented cottages for Tuli Tiger Corridor, Kanha. Her design abilities made her back the Tuli Imperial Hotel project, and with this, she carved her name in hospitality spaces. In Nagpur, she completed many residential and commercial projects with a holistic approach of architecture and interiors. She expanded her practice in Mumbai in 2014. She forayed into commercial and retail spaces. Her practice, DT and Associates, has completed 50 plus projects till date. Her work at the Panasonic Asia headquarters, Gurgaon, has been published in tabloids under Wow Workplaces for Smart Offices. A certified member of Society of Design Thinking Professionals. Recently, she was counted among the 3 best women architects from India to watch in 2020 by D-Mode magazine. She made all of us and her alma mater very proud by this achievement. So it gives me immense pleasure to welcome our alumna and my dear friend, Architect Dipti Tangri. Dipti, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, alumni Chakradev ma'am Ketki, for the lovely introduction. I'm very humbled to be a part of this webinar and to be interacting with everyone who's present here today. It is quite humbling experience for me right now to be here. As we move forward, there's a lot of nostalgic moment and the mood that I am in right now, to be with the people who actually were a part of laying the foundation for me while in this whole process of becoming who I am today as a professional. And to discuss that is a very, it brings a lot of memories, and I believe no matter how much I must have prepared for this webinar, it's going to be a very random and the whole conversations that we'll have, and I hope that is of some help to everybody who's watching this. So if I would just proceed forward, I would like to begin with by sharing this whole idea that I joined in, I took the decision of joining BArch was a very impromptu decision, because I was perhaps quite good in the whole visualization thing. And when that journey started, the whole concept of what an architect needs, what do you need to be, what does architecture hold truly for you, that whole thing had sunk when, in your initial first and the second years. Basically, we kind of underestimate that whole the whole 2 years, thinking because we just have visual arts and the other small subjects which are very easy to do, and you wonder what you're doing, but it's only later down in your years that you understand that those were the most important years that actually built you, and the major foundation for whatever you are was laid in those 2 years. And we were blessed enough to have Deshpande sir teach us. So the 5-year journey of in architecture of doing BArch was by far one of the most fascinating things. It was the beginning of the most fascinating things that started unfolding eventually, and we participated in many competitions. We expanded our old horizon entirely. How we would look at things, the entire perspective of how we are supposed to see the world. We were slowly being trained onto it, and eventually how this would unfold was totally mystery till we were in the 5th year. And it was only when the training that happens in our final years. Right now it's called as semesters. In those times we were in the 5th year as we know it. So my exposure to Bangalore and with JSM Fountainhead, Krishna Rao JSM is one of the pioneers in Bangalore, and learning under him, the training under him mattered to me a lot in the way I perceive spaces, in the way I show respect to materials, in the way I deal with clients. So there were many things beyond the curriculum that actually was laid down and handed over to me in a very subtle way from Bangalore. That was my exposure personally. So and after that I did my 2 years. It was only 2 years of job that I did, and after that I randomly decided to move into my own practice. So I have a lot of advice to be given to all the young people who pass out and who intend to start their own practices ASAP. After the what kind of experiences you should have, and how do these experiences actually help you, build you, shape you in becoming probably a responsible designer that one should be. So and how my entire journey, it wasn't, after the curriculum and the formal trainings that I received in the offices of architects, I'm still learning basically. So your learners are at every stage, and I'll probably take you down through my journey in a very brief way, in a very short time of 30 minutes. I'll try to explain you how things had unfolded for me, as well as while doing so, I will try to, my whole focus today would be to take you that, I may not be able to cover all my projects here today, but in the short span, I would like to cover some projects that I would say in many ways were the milestone projects, which actually helped me change the trajectory of what I would be doing in future and what I am doing right now in many ways, even whether it's interiors or architecture or retail or etc., the other stuff that I'm doing, especially because in the current situation of pandemic that we are today, there are a lot many things everybody is sitting back and we're thinking about as to where as a society are we all planning to go. So today all the projects that I will be sharing with everybody, and the journey that I will take you through while I'm showing you my projects would be about how we humans need to start respecting our environment, and how when we work in tandem with nature, how things can turn out to be beautiful. So it's a beautiful amalgamation of technology and nature, and how do we combine both of them to create what we are meant to create. So I'll be sharing my screen with you, and I hope everybody is able to see what I am about to share. The kind of projects that I have done in my commercial practice ever since I started out were mostly the residential and the hospitality, which was a very different thing, because I started with one of the biggest brands in Nagpur, which was a Turi group of hotels, and I was fortunate enough when I started working with them. It was like I'll take you through all the projects, the few projects that I have done. And to begin with, I'll take you as to how my journey began in Nagpur with the hospitality segment. And it was merely through the sketches that we used to develop as college students, and I was very good at it apparently. So I'll just quote you how Louis Mies van de Rohe when he said we should attempt to bring nature, houses and human beings together in a higher unity. This is something that was possibly, that was most likely always in the background of my mind whenever I have touched any project, especially architecture. So I would be carrying with this whole thought in my mind. I think this has been a subdued thought subconsciously, and this is the way I've approached most of my projects. Moving forward on this, I will take you through my journey, which began with my first project in Nagpur, which was an ecologically adaptive design, which was a Tuli Tiger Resort in Pench. I am sharing with you very quickly the site view of this particular project, wherein you could see there's this, in the center you see a water body, and on either side of the water body you see some small settlements and some projects and some dwellings. So my my intent to show this project to everybody here was the fact that this project actually built me up and made a good foundation for me. The first project actually taught me as to how we need to be ecologically adaptive. Reason being, this particular project, this was a site layout that I had. That's the boundary that we had. There was a small rivulet that used to flow. In Hindi that we say, एक छोटा सा नाला यहाँ से बहता था in the during the monsoons. So we identified that this particular thing, if expanded, and if we expand this entire water body and create a dam and restrict the movement of the water in a manner that we create a water bank onto the site, how that will benefit us in the project. So this is what we did. We created a small bridge, which you see in the dotted line, and in the dark blue line that you see was the dam that we built on the site. The excess water, the water usually gets wasted otherwise. So we expanded the entire land. We created nice, the dam that we created and the pond that we created enabled us to create a big water bank onto this particular project, which today is used to do a lot of fishing for a tourist spot. Obviously, around the cottages are built around this particular spot. And how suddenly this water was visible started being used to for running the entire project. So and this way we also avoided digging, going very deep into the ground area and making any bore wells. So that was our intention, and the entire project started building around it. I will quickly take you through it, how we developed it. This is how the movement happened. We had the entry, we had the main area in the front, the lobby area and the public area, dining areas at the entrance. And is my screen visible? I'm not able to understand.
No, ma'am. I think you have stopped sharing. Kindly reshare your presentation.
Okay. Is my screen visible right now? Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So this particular, do I need to repeat again?
Go ahead.
No, carry on, carry on.
Okay. So how we, a particular river stream was flowing and how we built around it, we made it very beneficial for the people in the same areas, and people got influenced, and I think a few projects followed on the similar lines. So this is how we gave respect to the environment, and we created whatever we had to create. I mean, humans have to go there, yet we are building in tandem with the nature and the supplies that it gives us. So this is one of the examples that I wanted to share with everyone. This is a project where this is the water body that we have in the center flowing out, and how we made the cottages around it, the tented cottages, etc. around it. So in my learning, this was something which was very new for me to learn. and it gave me a lot of confidence as to, let's build, let's respect nature, let's not break anything, let's not do create something unnecessarily, and let's be in harmony with the nature. And I just wanted to share some sketches. These were the first sketches that I had made when I went on the site for the first time, that this is how we'll make the gate and stuff, and how the sketches eventually evolved. And that's the sketch that I made is the backdrop, entrance area. Then we developed around it. So it takes a lot of. So I was being naive, yet I knew, okay, well, let's do something bigger, and we started modifying, and how this project eventually shaped up, and we ended up making a very luxurious project. So that was one of the things, and I'll share with you some more ideas. So I think today, I think the generation today is a little beyond this. That they sketch, and they use a software called SketchUp, and they make it, and that's also very good because we need to adapt to the technology. But in our times, this is how we were doing it. I was making sketches, a lot of sketches. So that's how I used to visualize my black and white were the sketches, and how the reality turned out to be. Honestly speaking, at this particular point, I only had the concepts. I never had the exposure of how the materials are going to be used, and how are we going to make it, or how expensive is it going to be. All these things were, I wasn't aware of this. So at this stage, I would say I was lucky enough to have a client who was very supportive, and whatever sketches and ideas I used to give were converted by a very efficient team that was already in place. So my contribution to this particular project was majorly on the concept and the ideas. The implementation, I used to be around always, but I was being naive still. The ideas getting implemented the same way was a very big deal. So this is how it happens initially in your career, when we are practicing. When we started out, we need to understand. I was probably lucky enough, but my recommendation would be that any youngster who wants to start up on their own initially, I would recommend that they take an experience. Unlike me, I was lucky probably at this point of time, but it may not be with everyone. So I highly recommend that people should always take experience under good architects in different cities probably, and get a good hang of whatever you imagine, how do they get implemented, and what are the kind of materials, and the costings are very important, and all those things. You need to get a good experience. So that is something that everybody should do. This is what the way I did would not be very ideal, I would say, but still we ended up doing a very good work here. I will also allow me to share with you a very important thing that always stayed with us, wherein which in our college we were always told that form follows function most of the time, beauty follows after it. So once it's like whenever we take a project, we normally treat it in a manner so that first and foremost thing is all the functions that have been identified by the user should be catered to. They should be addressed to in the first phase. So once that happens, so after that, I think adding the aesthetic to it is probably a secondary, but not the least important thing. It's probably the secondary thing that we do in a sequence. So I will share with you my taste of works that we had done at a level starting from college, and I'll show you how that influence took me forward in the real life as well. So this was a beautiful project that Ketki madam, who's here with us in the team, she was my batchmate, and there were two more girls, Vinisha Patel and Utpala Gandhare. So we were in a fourth year, and we participated in this competition called INSDAG, and we were supposed to design some stadium here. And we won this award at a national level in competition with SPA and September and everybody. So this particular project was a classic example how we designed this stadium, an indoor stadium, which was supposed to cater to 5 games at the same time. And our entire journey of this particular project, I cannot explain to people as to how the 6 months that we worked on this particular competition, still today, still today forms the very basic fundamental of how I look at any structure. Because while doing this project, we were working with structural design, big structural designers of Nagpur, Dhamante sir, Deshpande sir, Chakradev ma'am as well, and we were the way the entire fundamental of how we should approach the design, the context of what we were doing, and how anything could stand, anything such a huge structure would stand, and how aesthetic when we add, what all goes into it. So this particular project, without realizing till date, it expanded my vision to a great extent that today also when I look at any bigger project which comes my way, and I'm looking at it in a holistic way, I am not at all afraid of how it's going to be stable or not, and whether I can remove certain elements or not. So this project became very valuable for me in my till date, in my journey till date. So based on this, in real life, we designed a stadium. Unfortunately, still on the shelves. This is a stadium that we have designed for Nagpur. I may not be able to disclose the name of the community that we are doing. It's for a Sikh community, and this project is on hold as of now. But it's proposed in Nagpur, wherein we are supposed to design a stadium which can be converted into an indoor stadium when needed, and it can be converted into an open area as well. So this was a live project which I could do only because I had a background exposure of doing a project in the college. So this stadium that you see on the screen right now is we had designed collapsible roofing system, which is quite possible today with the technology that we had, and the roof could be open from the center, and we could have a multiple indoors this thing, a base where we could play volleyball, basketball, and this thing, any indoor games that you have. And it could also be used as an auditorium when needed, an indoor auditorium. So this is how the site plan looks like. And so I just wanted to share that all the foundation of these things come from college. And so please don't ignore the academics that you're taught with. So these things do help you out in the future, which probably we may not understand right now, but we're able to do this. And practically speaking, I have been implementing these ideas in reality, just waiting for this to come into execution today. Next, I would after this, I would like to stress that in my foundation years that I was working in Nagpur, for me, I was found fortunate enough that I got opportunity to work on projects that my clients were quite sensitive about the kind of materials that we would use, which was something that, you know, as an architect, you would always want to do it, but you may not get the opportunity because of the project, the scale of the project, or probably the location of the project, or even sometimes the clients are not educated. So I was fortunate enough that I was able to do some justice to my ideologies, and I would like to share with you as to how we were able to design some eco-sensitive, designs and the materials that we felt were extremely, eco-friendly. I would say eco-friendly is the word that I can use. I cannot claim that any of my project is entirely green, because we still use ACs in most of our projects. So but still, we have managed in my practice of 16 years to work on some projects. So allow me to share with you something that I see right now, and how materials have always played a very important role in the works that we do. So as regards materials that are, so when I say that I've done eco-friendly projects, what I mean is the materials that have been available, that were available in my site, around my site, and I did not travel very far to procure the materials. That is one of the criteria that qualifies to make a project that is eco-friendly. Another criteria would be, the materials that you use, that are used in any of the projects, how much energy has gone to source it, whether I'm using steel, whether I'm using stone, or whether I'm using wood, how much energy has gone to bring it out from the source to the end product that we make. So based on this, did I do justice to the project, or did I end up making a project which was wherein I used one material? For example, if I use a material which was sourced from outside India, it came traveled to India, and then I use it in my projects. So how did that happen? So was it good? Was it bad? So there have been projects where we were sensitive, where we got the opportunity to avoid all those things. So that's something that we did. So some of my projects have been eco-friendly. We were able to do that. And the materials that we ended up, what kind of materials fall into this are bamboo, cork, recycled wood, precast concrete also that we've used. So I'll take you through two of my projects that I did fortunately in Nagpur before I moved to Bombay. So I would like to show you how we recycled some old furniture in one of my projects, which is called Erai Safari Retreat, which is in Tadoba. Here we actually procured a lot of old furniture from the scrap dealers, and the furniture was like, there was a lot of furniture that we had. So as you can see the images as to how the furniture used to look like जब हम कबाड़ी से खरीदते हैं. So what happens and what do you do in this project? How we slowly transformed all our furniture and we made it into a little glamorous. We made it look glamorous eventually, and it fitted into my project very beautifully. And this is some of the examples of the reclaimed furniture that I've worked on. These are some, we had many doors, we got many old doors. So we broke the panels, the center panels of the wooden panels of the doors. We combined them together to make the fascia of a bar unit, and how carvings were done onto it, just to say the story as to how wine is extracted in many parts of the world. And so this is how old furniture was recycled. And today, if somebody goes there, they would not even understand that these are all reclaimed furnitures and recycled furnitures that we are using today in the project. And people, when they see till date, I believe everything that is seen over there, around 70% of a project is reclaimed furniture that we upcycled and we used. I highly recommend youngsters to please explore this segment of design, and because architects are not supposed to only do architectural designs, we are supposed to look at a project in a very holistic way. And be it interiors or be it architecture or be it product designing that you do, let's be a little more sensitive. Let's take care of our environment a little more, and let's generate some more work for the localites. And so these are some of the examples that probably would inspire you. So the intention to select this to show you this slide was that in this project Erai Safari Retreat, as an architect, and my client was also sensitive enough to support that whatever material we used, the stones that we used in the project were all procured within a range of 40 to 50 kilometers only. Because this is quite in the interiors, that's why we had to go that far. Otherwise, in city, perhaps the range would be pretty less. So my entire sourcing happened from in and around Tadoba region, where you get the local stone. Irrespective that the stones may not be very fancy looking, even the flooring that you see were procured, it was very irregular. The colors used to not match, but still we did not really shy away from doing that. We use the local materials, and all my labor, most of my labor over here, at least 60% labor, were all the localites. It was difficult to train them. It was difficult to get the kind of workmanship you get, but once you train people, they love to do it. So I just wanted to share this with you all. In my another project, which is Madhuban village, which is still the work is still happening here in on Katol Road. This particular project is turns out to be a little close to me because it's a huge project of 80 acres, and we are doing housing. It's going to be a little slow project here. It's a project of farmhouses. So this particular land was a barren land. We needed to do a lot of plantation here. So whenever we used to start digging it, we used to find out a lot of stones. So much stone was there on the side. So we started utilizing this stone to create a lot of elements in landscape. We started doing a lot of you know, architecture features that we started using. And as you see on the images on the screen, we've used the stone for paving. These stones have not been procured from outside. They are same on the side. We've used some blocks. We started creating nice patterns for the paving. We started creating fencing. We started creating backdrops for the stage. This is how we still use it, and probably this is a live thing that the localites can go and see. It's quite inspiring. And there's a huge lake that we have abutting this particular project. So how we have, you know, we've taken advantage of that view, and we've taken advantage of the water that is there on the site, and we've used the materials that was available on the site also to proceed forward. So this is something I hope everybody can actually relate to it, that we did not go any further to procure anything special for the works. These are the examples. This is just the image that I was sharing with you earlier. This is how the finished product looks like. So even if you're using local products or you're using reclaimed furnitures, all the doors that you see here, some of them have been made to as per the sizes, but most of the stuff that you see, all the wood that you see over here in the verandas and everything have been sourced locally. So, and the end product can look good. The end product looks warm, it looks nice. So many foreigners who come here for this project have a lot of appreciation for when they know the fact that we've given a lot of respect to the local stuff and, you know, reclaimed furnitures. So there's a lot of appreciation for this work. And I would just like to point you out to some things where people would not really realize that the stones here that you see, the flooring outside as well as inside, all the stones have been procured locally, not beyond Chandrapur. We are just talking about a radius of hardly 40 to 50 kilometers. So I would encourage youngsters to have a look and be open to such ideas. And trust me, there are a lot of people in the market who are doing such stuff. And as a designer, when you have the charge to take a call on any project, I would urge that when you have the charge to do it, take a wise call on many things, and let's reduce the carbon footprint as much as possible. I would like to end my presentation here by saying that this has been that we believe that design is a process of creating dreams. While being a part of this, our desire is to be creative and sensitive to the client's needs with a singular goal of creating a space that they will fall in love with. So that's been our way of working till date, and I would like to. I have shared just few projects. Yeah, I haven't shared the very fancy projects that have recently got a lot of attention in the media. Just the reason being that I felt if I'm interacting with the younger crowd, I would share with some of the projects that have been a life-turning moments for me, and how these projects till date have formed one of the foundations to the way I look at projects, how I deal with them. And by far after this, we've done a lot of projects like commercial and retail and residential, etc. But one thing remains: we try to be, despite of being innovative and doing something new, which is our work that we take up, we try to be very sensitive about how our work impacts not just the environment, it impacts people. Because once you make a space, it's going to be there for at least 10-15 years, or maybe 50 years, 100 years. So whatever we do leaves it leaves a big footprint. So we need to be really careful on how we take things forward. And till date, I would say I'm still learning, not just from the people from the people who laid the foundation for me, but I learn every day from my clients, the people I work with, my teams, and there's everyday learning from many aspects of people around you. So learning never stops. As well as I would like to share one more thing over here. As architects, for the longest period of my practice, I was always under the impression that since I'm an architect, I would primarily do only architecture projects. And for a good long time, I used to probably not have much respect for the interiors or any other facet of design. But eventually, in the practice, I realized that as a designer, there's much that we can do beyond architecture. So one should not restrict yourself to just doing, practicing or looking yourself as an architect who's only going to design buildings. I think there's a lot of stuff, even when you are designing just a small partition or probably a small table or probably a small product. We as architects have been enabled by our coaches in any format who come in front of a life to look at things in a very different way. So architecture enables you for that. So expand your horizon, experiment with many facets, many fields. Right now, I'm also working parallelly on my product designing, which will soon be launched for people to see. We are working on lighting designs. We are working on furniture designs. We are working on many other aspects, many other things that we feel as an architects, the whole idea today being, make in India. We are promoting this aspect very strongly, and likewise, me and many of my colleagues are in favor of this. And I think this whole pandemic situation has given a lot of opportunity and a vision. It has given us a lot of time to think, to retrospect how we are taking things forward, that we have a lot of responsibility, that we need to work in tandem with nature. There's so much inspiration to take from, there's so much thing that can be done in India, that there's so much influence in India. All we need to do is blend in the technology from probably outside and what the skill sets and whatever learnings you have over here, combine it together to create a marvel. And don't simply restrict yourself to one thing. Expand yourself as much as possible. So that's been my journey so far.
Thank you, Dipti ma'am, for wonderful presentation. I will now request our co-convener, COA in charge, architect Anuradha Tikkas, to take a lead for question and answer session.
Thank you, Deepti. Some real honest confessions coming from you at the end of the session. That was a really noteworthy thing to say for all the students and the audience as well. We need to really confess to ourselves, what you said. It was surely a captivating and knowledgeable presentation, I would say. And I think all the audience, mostly I think so the students are also introspecting as to what should be done now on their front. And I'm really genuinely assured and convinced that you must be surely enjoying the opportunities and the challenge you must be facing with each of the projects. And I'm sure you're leaving your clients also mesmerized, by your work. So
I wouldn't say that happens always. We also have at rough times. Not all my clients would be happy, I'm sure, but that's a part.
But that is what we need to, really
Yes.
balance, that is what. So
Right.
I do have some questions from my end to ask you. Meanwhile, the one person from our fraternity who has played a vital, inspirational role to shape up your professional career, can you name?
I've already named him Professor Shirish Deshpande.
Okay.
He's been a big pillar in the entire foundation.
Okay.
I need to point out one more thing. If students are listening to this, please do not take visual arts lightly. You have no idea how visual arts actually helps you in compositions, in colors, and that is actually entirely what you really need to see, on a holistic level. Like when you look at the project entirely, whether they look good, whether they look bad, please take visual arts seriously. You will realize it later.
Yeah. Great advice. How do you deal with difficult clients, especially the ones who love to be the creators of their own? How do you deal with them?
Yeah, many people ask this question. See, there are two ways to look at it. People, when a client comes in, it's very obvious that they come with a particular mindset. It is their money, it is their project in the first place. So they are very possessive about what their thought process has been. So my approach personally has been that I always listen out to what comes from them. Obviously, since we have the expertise, they have come to us for a certain reason. Once, if I understand that the client is too much bogging onto their ideas and they are just not willing to listen, and if their ideas are in tune with mine, I would rather happily accept it, and we could work in tune. When it doesn't happen, which in many cases it doesn't, then it is a lot of energy is spent in educating them. We give it a chance. We give it a chance to that also, that we try to educate them as to how certain things are good and bad, and you try to differentiate that. If it doesn't happen, then please don't proceed with the project. Just for the heck of it, if your client is pushing you to create something which is going to be not good for the look of it, or even for the function wise also, sometimes clients don't understand, they have very unreasonable demands, then don't proceed with it. Don't end up creating something that is not good. That's my way of doing it.
Okay. I think the students must have got their answer what to do in the future if they really have such plans. Yeah. Okay. Which design is close to your heart? I would say, what do you like to design most? Like, which gives you a more creative front? Can you elaborate?
Do you want the answer in categories?
No, like whatever. Like what do you like to design most? Like residential or something, or hotel or resorts? What?
I wouldn't really say I can. My answer would be in the term of that category, but I would say anything that is challenging. Anything that gives you a challenge that it is not possible. When a client comes with you, okay, I have so much project, either the land is different or the space, the area is not enough, whatever. When it's a challenging project, it becomes very interesting. So that's the kind of project you really aim for. When it's very easy, most of the people can do it. So that's something you look for.
Okay. And how do you manage to maintain your creative levels? Like, how do you keep yourself updated in terms of being in that dynamism industry? You need to be always creative. So how do you keep yourself upgraded?
Yes. So, when you talk about being updated, there are two things. One is you're updated with the industry as to what's happening in the industry in terms of the kind of architecture planning. But today we are in such an age, we are so well connected with the technology that it's very easy to be updated as to what's happening in any part of the world in terms of creativity. And at the same time, you need to be in touch, which I feel most of the architects, including me, I'm a little lazy about going and networking in your same fraternity. You need to know what your fraternity is talking about, and what is the entire mood of the industry that we're talking about. And probably there's so much thing that probably you can add to the influence, and you can probably even take the influence from your colleagues and your fellow practicing architects. So that is also, these are the two ways that I try to keep myself updated, and I think it's fairly easy. And being a designer, you should always, and also traveling helps, because no matter how much virtual data you see, it is never a first-hand experience. So I will highly urge everybody to keep a budget aside every year. Domestic, international, doesn't matter. It's in the same city, doesn't matter. But traveling adds a lot of exposure to your entire perspective.
Great. And some difficult moments you faced, and you turned out to be either a good or a bad professional disappointment or something like that, you can share while on your work.
There have been many. There have been many challenges.
But they surely turn out to be, more educational or more, learning wise. You tend to get more mature.
Well, in real life, basically all the learning comes at a cost. It's there's a lot of money that is involved in any of the works that you pick up. So it's there have been so many occasions that most of the projects, we try to have a streamlined thing, but either they may not turn out, they may cross the budget, or the timeline is short, or probably what you had imagined to execute it, there are challenges. So one example that I can quote you would be, it's very difficult though, but frankly speaking, should I say the recent one? I think I've faced interior projects. I find them quite challenging, and probably wherein there is a chance that you have a lot of tiff with the clients. There's a high probability in architecture. Most of the things are very sorted, and you will rarely face some challenges that you have not thought about. Really, it's mostly articulated. But in interior, so many surprising factors can happen. So we were doing. Coming to Bombay, I've done a lot of commercial projects, that is office projects, and there's, I would say, let me quote you a project that people would be able to see online as well, that you have a height limitation of certain height limitations, and how there are so many consultants fighting for the heights, and you end up not getting enough space for you to create anything. Your creativity hampers, and how do you deal with things? So Panasonic headquarters that we did in Gurgaon was a very interesting project, where the clear height that we have today is hardly 7.5 feet. So imagine in a 7.5 feet of an entire span of like about 80,000 square feet was somewhere 7.5 or 8 feet max. So imagine such a big space, to make it not yet look like that was a bit of a challenge. So that was something that we achieved. So there was a lot of learning that happened during the process, and it happens with all the projects. So difficult to pinpoint some of them, So yeah.
Okay. I think you've already answered your future aspirations, so I don't want to go too much of it in detail. Lighting and all that stuff, you've talked already about it. So I really now
there
looking
was a
at
lot of surprises coming in from my end. I mean, I'm collaborating with a few very good designers, and we are working in tandem, and we are coming up with a lovely brand and fancy light fittings and furnitures. So we hope to bring it out online for everyone very soon.
Oh yeah, we would love to see that, and all the best to you. And now looking at the time, I would really hand over the mic to Sneha. Sneha, please carry on.
Thank you, Anuradha ma'am. I will now request Harpreet ma'am to give vote of thanks. Harpreet ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Sneha. On behalf of Alumni Association of Srimati Manorabhabai Mundle College of Architecture, I extend my thanks to Deepti for sharing her experience and giving a wonderful insight about career in architecture. We would like to thank all the participants for their overwhelming response. We would like to thank our principal, Dr. Ujjwala Chakradev, for her constant support and encouragement. A special thanks for our technical team, architect Vajanti Yadav and Sneha Mandekar, for uninterrupted session. I request all the participants to fill the feedback form, which will be mailed to you. Stay connected with us on our college website for more such webinars. I would like to mention that we have an alumni work compilation book under publication process and more such activities along with alumni. Thank you, friends, once again. Looking forward to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
The best.
All the best, Deepti ma'am.
Whoever is there for the next module,